Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to uh, our daily call. We've got our wonderful guest, Sushil Kumar from the SBA to walk us through the disaster. Obviously, COVID is still very top of mind, but the weather still does its thing and Mother Nature still has to talk. So today we're going to be talking about the EIDL loans as it relates to Texas and the disaster there. But again, I think, and Sushil will talk about this a little bit more, if you can apply this more broadly to other disasters that are going on in the nation. And then at the end, if you have questions, we will open it up. So Sushil, I'm going to hand it over to you. You tell me when you want me to move slides and I'll try and do that appropriately.
Let's do that now. Thanks for having me, Rhoda, Andy, Marcy, Michael, Jim. Appreciate you being on the call. From a big picture standpoint, the Small Business Administration's Office of Disaster Assistance continues to provide economic inter-disaster loans for COVID-19 related incidents, if you will, which is basically the definition of in other words, business is open, can't sell enough, and as a result, they can't pay their bills. So we provide liquidity in the form of a loan. Today's topic very specifically has to do with the Texas Winter Storms Declaration. So Rhoda, if you could go to the fact sheet that I had sent you as part of the overall packet of information, that would be it. So basically, we have a declaration not only for businesses, which is covered under COVID-19, but all gamuts of society, which I don't believe, Rhoda, you and I have had a chance to talk about since last year. So this is our full plate of services. In other words, homeowners and renters, most private nonprofits, and businesses of all sizes. And you see that listed down below in the fact sheet. There you go, on the VDLAOC. All right. So what we have here is a low interest rate disaster loan for renters up to $40,000 to repair or replace personal property. Cars are considered personal property. Living room furniture is considered. And in addition to that, anything that's small that you would consider personal property, right? TVs and refrigerators, things along those lines. In addition to the actual renters, homeowners can also borrow money for damages against their residence and their personal property. So this is the only arena in which the SBA is involved with homeowners and renters. As a matter of fact, 80% of our loans during disasters tends to be to homeowners and renters, even though we have a name called Small Business Administration. And I'll talk about how it's relevant in the registration process also. And you folks are very familiar with the business side, working with the SBA. So property damage up to $2 million, economic injury up to $2 million. So overall for businesses, the most that they can borrow is that $2 million number. Fixed interest rates, and for this particular disaster, it's 3%. If you want to go down further below, it's not listed there, right? So this is just an overall, okay. That would be a good number for folks who are on this call or when it's recorded, you can see further down, Rhoda.
3%.
Yeah, if you go down further, yeah, phone number.
This
yeah,
one?
800-659-2955. So there are various ways. Because of COVID-19, our presence is virtual for most all disasters, if not all. Okay, I'll take the word most out and insert if not all. So currently we have a declaration in Texas and in Oklahoma. The state of Louisiana has requested assistance from the feds. What does that really mean? Let's get into the details now, folks. In a presidential declaration, FEMA is the lead agency. So basically, Texas Department of Emergency Management requested from the President of the United States resources to help the community rebuild. In other words, we are there, SBA and FEMA are there at the request of the state. We didn't show up arbitrarily. There needs to be a request sent in indicating what services are needed. So under the individual assistance mindset, our program is being rolled out, has been rolled out. So initially that particular Saturday it was 77 counties, then 31 more counties came online. Another 32 came online a couple of days ago. They've requested it. So pretty soon we'll have a fairly large number of counties in Texas that can that can take advantage of our program. So what does that really mean? As you folks know, in any given disaster, the first line of defense is insurance. So the lack thereof, or not enough of it, drives what we call unmet needs in the disaster world. So Rhoda has a $100,000 policy. There's a 10% deductible. So she's insured, but she doesn't get the full amount of her losses. So she gets a check for $90,000. Guess who steps in to finance the difference? The SBA does. So the very first step in this presidential declaration is to register with FEMA, get your 9-digit number, and then apply with the SBA. FEMA's role in the world of individual assistance is to provide safe, secure sanitary conditions grants to the needs of the many. Across the board, the referrals to SBA have been averaging somewhere between the mid-70s to the low 80s. It depends from disaster to disaster. So when they make a referral over to the SBA, the expectation is that the applicant, renter or homeowner, applies with the SBA for the actual damages that they've incurred: a lost car, a flooded home, a room that's uninhabitable, okay, uninhabitable. So they'd come to us for recoveries. So let's say Rhoda doesn't qualify. That's fine if she doesn't qualify. What we would do is we'll make the referral back to FEMA for their other needs assistance, where a third pot of money opens up. But she can't get to that third pot of money if she doesn't apply with the SBA. If the SBA approves and Rhoda doesn't want it, the recovery process stops right there. If the applicant doesn't apply, if Rhoda doesn't want to apply for the SBA, the process stops right there. So our role, SBA's role, is to make sure that the community, in this case, renters, homeowners, private nonprofits, and businesses of all sizes, use taxpayer subsidized money to finance a recovery. If they have insurance, we'll deduct that and the difference is theirs. If they're uninsured, then entire sums of money are there. Any questions so far?
Yeah, let's kind of walk through it. Let me turn back on my screen share. Where do we go to apply for the FEMA number? What's that site? Do we have that?
I didn't send that to you, but that is FEMA.gov. If you want to type that into your browser.
Yeah,
you want to type that into your browser, or disaster loan is okay.
Okay, let me do a new window. And slide that over here. Can everyone see that? FEMA.gov.
Yep.
Okay, and then kind of walking through this. First things first, call your insurance.
Yeah, go ahead, Rhoda.
I was gonna say, first things first, call your insurance if you have insurance. That's the first thing, really. Then go to FEMA.gov. Is that the correct order of operations? Okay.
Correct. And then if you go to apply for assistance at the top, right next to the search.
Oh, here we go. Apply for assistance. Okay.
And apply online. So literally you go through that motion and you register with FEMA. Okay. It'll expect you to continue the registration process if you put that thing in there.
Okay. And then you just kind of go through this and we'll.
That's correct.
Okay.
There you go.
How long does this application typically take? Oh, here it'll tell us. 20 minutes.
Right up top. That's correct.
Okay. Basic information.
Correct. 800-621 FEMA for additional details. What I don't want to do on this recording is to purport to be a FEMA person. I will stay clear in my lane, and what you see on the website and the phone number 800-621 FEMA is where you would call to get the details about how to register for FEMA. We have a requirement, the government has a requirement that you apply with the SBA, but register with FEMA first, and they're the lead agency. So let me concurrently also state that businesses do not have to register with FEMA. They're encouraged to, because they have data that they can provide, FEMA as to what their needs might be. But SBA is the only source of funds for businesses, both economic injury and
Okay.
physical damages. So guess what? They do not have to register with FEMA. So you would come over to 800-659-2955. Would you mind clicking on the disaster assistance SBA.gov link? The third bullet.
Where did it open? I got a bunch of windows open. Hang on, let me drag it over.
There you go. And go to funding programs. You got that open? Yep. And then go further down.
Ah.
And then you see it right there. All of the disaster assistance, third window, right there.
This one. So prepare,
Yeah.
that's not right now. COVID, we know COVID.
Right.
Apply for other disaster assistance.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's what you would follow and apply for assistance.
Okay. Apply for disaster loan. This is new. Check your status online. Is that seems like it's a new feature. I don't remember that.
It's been on there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
So
you would accept,
then we
and then you would
accept.
go online, correct? And then you'd follow the process and you apply. Okay.
Okay.
So in terms of the efficacy of our program, disasterassistance.gov, we just covered that. Turnaround time is about 14 days for a decision. Okay, start to finish right now, given all of the registrations that we have. It could be 17 tomorrow or a couple of days from now. But as of today, the turnaround time has been about 14 days. The expectation is that we fund the entire loan in about 4 to 5 weeks. With just like you guys, if you have a complete package, you're able to fund quicker. Interest rates are 1.125, and maximum amortization is 30 years. You have to apply. You have to register with FEMA and apply with the SBA by the 20th of April. There's a deadline declaration date, 60 days from when the declaration was made. Okay. The economic injury is a little further out. That's November 19th. So 1.25% for home loans and car loans and personal property, things along those lines. Businesses as low as 3%, private nonprofits as low as 2%. So let's talk about private nonprofits. If you type into FEMA private nonprofits, you'll find a decision tree, which talks about services of an essential nature fall under the public assistance program. Services which are not considered essential in nature have to apply with the SBA to get the funds that they need. And if
the
the
difference
total,
between your food pantry versus your zoo or something like that.
it could be something as simple as, there's an actual breakout of what FEMA considers crucial secure elements, if you will. If you go into FEMA and under the search button, put in private nonprofits, PNP. There you go. You can click on it.
The top one?
Yep, that's us.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Go back.
What did I do?
So go down to public guidance and fact sheets. Further up, one more up, right there, right there. Okay, if you open that up and you pick the section that you want to talk about, it's all there. It's a fairly comprehensive document, and it talks about all kinds of virtues, but the specific language for private nonprofits and houses of worship, I'll send that to you so that you can have it. It talks about all kinds of, and our overlap with FEMA again is providing the financing. You got critical and you got non-essential. We take care of the non-essential. FEMA takes care of the essential ones. Okay. We've talked about a lot about COVID-19 over the course of time. So this is one of those times where we have to cover the damages and insurance. So let's talk about a business that was closed has insurance, business interruption, because COVID was not covered, but other business insurance did, and they get a check for 10,000, and that is not the totality of the damages. The damages were close to, let's say, 50,000. So what we can do is finance the 40 if the cash flow is there. Okay. Again, back to that insurance mindset. Make sure that your policies are intact, you're in force, and whatever insurance pays you minus that is what we can take care of. Okay. Interest rates again, 3% money. The first payment in this disaster, given its en masse effect, is a year from today. So your first payment is in month 12. And the reason we do month 12, or the administration does it month 12, is this disaster has been categorized of such a severe nature that it requires the administrator to push it out from 5 months to 12 months. Because generally speaking, it's 5 months.
Okay.
Okay. And let's say Rhoda wants to help locally, and she was not affected as badly, and you have working capital constraints. You reach out to the district office, the Dallas district office. Let's make an assumption again that you're in the Dallas area. You would type in the Dallas district office, come up with resource partners, talk to them about how to help fill out an application, or look for 7A lenders and say, how can I get some more money to help the community that I'm in? I was blessed. I didn't have any issues, but my neighbor did, and I don't have enough working capital to finance it. Will you please help me? So that's another way that the district office can potentially be a partner in your desire to be part of the revival process. Okay.
Let's go through that again. If you were not impacted, but you want to help your neighbor who was impacted, you contact your local 7A lender.
Correct. So the assumption that I made was, you know how after a disaster you always hear, I wasn't affected, but I want to help out. I want to help my community rebuild. I'm a contractor, but my fellow contractor was, affected. So the word neighbor is probably a loose word to explain, somebody in the industry. Okay, so I'm in the plumbing industry. I wasn't so badly affected, but my God, I can't really go out because I'm tapped out because my community is not paying me on time because I have an accounts receivable. I'm jammed up. I have enough, but I can't attend to all that. At that time, they will reach out to the district office, reach out to a 7A lender, and see if they can get a working capital increase, a bulge, if you will.
I see.
Help out.
I see.
Right. And the express bridge loan is something that the SBA district office can offer. And you guys can look that up. If you want to go to the district office real quick, type in Dallas district office, for example.
Okay. Share my screen again.
Thank you. There you go. Click on it.
Here's my mouse. Yeah. Having some technical difficulties. My mouse, there it is. Okay, here we are.
So go down to the Dallas Fort Worth District Office resource guide. Right there in the resource guide. You went too far. Go up a little bit. Right there. Click on.
I think it's Spanish.
Yeah.
I speak English. Okay.
Okay. If you want to download the PDF, it's a magazine. So click on. Keep going down. SBA lenders. You see that number 27, page number 27 on the contents right there.
Okay. Yeah. So
and that's where you would go to.
SBA lenders.
There you go. There you go. So you would reach out to any one of these lenders. So let's say I'm in Center, Texas, and I want to help out. I'll call up Shelby Savings Bank at that number and say, you know what, you guys know that I've been in a disaster, and this is my balance sheet. I mean, stuff that you do. This is, words to the wise here. You guys know what a 7A loan is and what kind of documentation you need to submit. So there could be a situation where I wasn't impacted, Rhoda was. I would want to help my community, so that's what I do.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good advice. Good tips there.
Because
Okay.
everyone talks about help your community, keep it local, spend the tax dollars locally, and that's what they need, right?
Mhm.
If you go further up,
Mhm.
go back to
Mhm.
the table of contents, if you don't mind. I think it was page 3, right there. If you go down little by little, I'll show you where the resource partners come into play, and I'll break down the definition to go further down. We've had a change of administrator, so that's dated, only because that
Mhm.
was in December. Keep
Mhm.
going. Keep going. So those are the people that you would contact. Keep going.
Here
There
we
you go.
are.
And keep, yeah, there you go. Come down a little bit. There you go. So those partners listed are what we call our resource partners: small business development centers, women's business centers, SCORE chapters, veterans business outreach, centers. They're customized. So, Rhoda, if you want, because women tend to process information differently than men, you want to go talk to a women's business center. There's your lift fund. Okay. You want to go talk to a SCORE chapter. There are several SCORE chapters. Okay. If you want to go talk to Small
Mhm.
Business Development Center, you go further up on your page. What they provide is not only market feasibility studies, they'll do a lender match, they'll do help with the 504, they can help out with 7A, they can help package your deals together. And those are a listing of the Small Business Development Center in North Texas.
Okay.
So that's who we partner up with locally. So our role is to rebuild the devastated community in the form of liquidity, which is our low interest rate disaster loans, taxpayer subsidized. Once we return the market or the community back to normalcy, we step out, and hopefully the relationships that we have built interim survive after we're gone. That's the whole idea. So you would reach out to, for this example, for a normal working capital expansion, these are the people that you'll reach out to. Our role is to return the business community and the rental community and the folks in the homeowners and renter segment back to their rightful status if a disaster didn't occur. So to put it
Okay.
all in a nice neat little package, register with FEMA, apply with the SBA. Even if you don't think you qualify, go through the process anyway. Get that to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Get that turn down letter so that FEMA's other needs assistance comes into play. You may want to go to FEMA's website and under search button, type in ONA. Yep. I guess that didn't come up, did it? You type in other needs assistance, please. There you go. Click on the first one is fine. There you go.
So for just to kind of go back through the order of operations when I work through this, go through your insurance. If you're a homeowner, apply through FEMA. They're going to send you to the SBA. When the SBA declines you, then you go back and get funds from FEMA. Is that right? You kind of have to get your FEMA number, then you got to get declined from the SBA, and then FEMA can help you if that's how it works out in your case, if you don't qualify with SBA.
Correct. And I want, just so that we get the nomenclature correct, it's register with FEMA and apply with the SBA. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And then the second part of that little tree that you drew was SBA is expecting to approve you. And if SBA approves you, then the safe, secure, sanitary conditions grant that FEMA offered you up front, along with the SBA's low interest rate disaster loan together, meets the unmet needs of the community. If for some
Okay.
reason SBA is not able to help, we then refer you to FEMA's other needs assistance,
Okay.
and they can help. So if you go down a little further, you'll see some of the topics, some of the items that could be covered. Those are some of the items that ONA can cover if SBA turns you down.
Okay. What are let's talk about SBA requirements and why people in your experience typically get declined, or documents they need when they apply a little bit.
So the typical rationale for turndowns is credit impaired, lack of cash flow. So expenses are far greater than the debt service number that we need. Bad
Mm-hmm.
child support, tax obligations, things along those lines. Those are about 98% of the reasons why an applicant could get turned down. Now, as just like every other federal agency, you have appeal rights. So if you are turned down, Rhoda, you have 6 months from the time that you were turned down to have your application reconsidered. You have to state the reason why SBA was incorrect in making that decision. In other words, Sushil, you picked up a delinquency with American Express that I've since cured.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a letter from American Express. You know, the bad child support, yes, I was past due, and that's because I was laid off. Now I'm gainfully employed. I'm back on track. Here's the money. Okay.
Okay.
You have to address the reason why you were turned down. And you have 6 months from the time the decline letter came to you. So let's say that the letter came dated today. So you have till September 5th to make sure that you get your reconsideration rights exercised.
Okay.
If you go to the next page
People
of the
always want a
slide,
score. Is there a credit score below 620, above 620? Is there something, or is there something that we can tell people? You know, people like, they want to know the score because it's easy to wrap your head around.
we are never ever told what that number is for obvious reasons. Because we're in the public information side, they never tell us what the credit criterion happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
For certain, if Rhoda, you're behind on your bills currently, that in itself is not a disqualifier, but most
Mm-hmm.
probably if you're delinquent with your current lender, chances you're going to be delinquent with the new lender. So the desire to lend may be muted. So as we always tell folks, the taxpayer subsidized program is there for recovery, but there's got to be balance struck between returning the money and helping the community rebuild.
Okay. Then other documents needed, tax returns for gross and net revenue for how many years, or what do they need?
Generally speaking, you don't want to necessarily have everything handy, because on a case-by-case basis, if your credit score is high enough, they may do it based on your score. If your score is somewhere in between, they'll ask you for it. So rather than have everything ready, which is always a good idea, I'm not discouraging that, but let
Mm-hmm.
the underwriter tell you what you need. But potentially, you might need a tax return. Potentially, you might need a bank statement to verify that you have liquid assets. Potentially, you might have other documents, a copy of a driver's license, your most recent pay stub, things along those lines, a copy of insurance policy with the deck page. Those may be items that you may want to keep handy anyway. But the desire to have everything handy and then apply, a lot of folks are already, they already have this anguish. Oh my God, paperwork, tedious. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want them to say, I'm not doing this right now. This is too much paperwork. That's the
Right.
reason why I'm discouraging. Don't worry about it. Let the underwriter tell
Right.
you what you need versus, oh God, I got to get that piece of paper. Oh my God, that got flooded. Oh my God, I can't talk to my CPA. My CPA is on returning phone calls. He or she is, in the same disaster. So I'm not going to get a phone call. Never mind. I'm not going to do anything. So that's the reason why
Mm-hmm.
I'm discouraging the process of having everything handy. Now, perhaps somebody like an Andy or a Marcy might have everything in the cloud, and everything is marked off, and you are
Right.
very good with your documents, and you've saved everything where it's supposed to be. Amen. Let's do it. So
Mm-hmm.
for the prepared, easy peasy. For the unprepared, unfortunately, it might be a something that people are discouraged by. So let's balance those two things.
Yeah, but the online application numbers that they should have ready, it's relatively simple: name, address, date of disaster, similar to the COVID one where it's not too detailed. And then once it gets through initial credit and maybe time in business, or were you in business at the time of the disaster, then
Correct.
they'll ask you for more. But really, initial app, you
Pretty
should know the
straightforward.
stuff.
Let
Maybe you'll
me
need your EIN that you have to look up or something easy.
exactly EIN you got to look up. You might have to look up your policy number because there's a policy for there's a box for a policy number. So things along those lines to make sure that you cover those items. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Great. Do we have any questions so far? Let me see if I can unmute the people. Unmute all. I'm going to open it for questions. Do we have any questions so far?
Hi, Rhoda. Yes, I have a question for you.
Okay, who's this?
This is Richard. Richard
Hi,
Richardson.
Richard.
How you doing? So it may be a crazy question, but I'm gonna ask anyway. So is all SBA loans personal guarantee loans?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Now
Does it report on your credit report or only if you default?
I've seen SBA not only as an inquiry, but also as a line item.
Okay.
Okay. And here's the other part. There's money available for mitigation. 20% of the losses could automatically be added onto your loan, number one. Number two, there are on a case-by-case basis. There's money for mortgage refinancing. On a case-by-case basis, there's also money for relocation. Okay, so let me use East Texas as an example, since we're in Texas with the winter storms. During Harvey, some of the counties there, Hardin, Newton, Orange, Jasper, Chambers, Jefferson, that whole area bordering Louisiana, was devastated by Hurricane Harvey. So people had first mortgages already. I had one particular lady, single mother, who said, Sushil, I can't afford making two payments. My first mortgage is 9%. It's $40,000. My payments are about $900. Okay, and you guys have approved me for 110,000, and my payments are 479, and the interest rate is terrific. But I can't afford to pay 900 plus another 479. I just sort of don't have $1,400. Have you considered refinancing? Well, how does that work? Well, we'll wrap up the first and the second together. You're staying in the property, you plan on repairing the property, there's an evidence of a first mortgage, and we're lending you money to help repair the premises, and staying below 200,000, which is our statutory maximum. Well, at the very end of it all, at the end of the process, she had a payment of 575, for a total first mortgage to the SBA for 150, and her first got paid off. She literally saved a payment to the first at 9% for an entire year. She says, I'm not going to be making that payment because I have a deferral with you,
right,
for 1 year. And so Sheila, I haven't seen $10,000 in my bank account at the end of the first year in almost a decade. God bless you. So refinancing on a case by case, yeah, literally she was in tears. I was at the tax office and she was in tears. And she goes, thank you, SBA, thanks for saving me. And this is my situation. So the SBA program works. Our job is to lend money to the needed, to the many, under a presidential declaration or an agency declaration, with or without FEMA, because that's the other part. Agency declarations are without FEMA. And the idea is to return the community back to its normalcy. That's the essence of it all.
right. Another question that came up, do people have to pay income tax on this?
No. It's
Okay.
a loan.
Okay. Other questions from the audience? No?
No fees, no points, no closing costs, no payment penalty. Somebody was speaking, I apologize.
Yeah, this is Jim. I was going to ask, similar to that last question, you don't have to pay tax on it because it's a loan. What if it's forgiven?
Well, forgiveness automatically then, there's an OIC, isn't there? The IRS requires lenders to let applicants know that the amount was taxable. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Unless it's specifically in a certain act, like the CARES Act, that it's forgiven, it's considered income.
Okay. other
And
comments or
and
questions?
and I'm going to build on that real quick. Let's say, you fall into financial trouble. There is a dedicated case manager phone number that you get a statement from that you can contact them and say, I've fallen on hard times. Will you help me renegotiate my payment? Stay in touch with them because the government does not want your home. They just want monies that were paid out to be paid back to them. So,
Right, I can't echo that enough. Stay in contact with your case manager. I know it's scary when you fall behind and all of the things that when you owe someone money and you want to pay them back and it's embarrassing or whatever feelings you're going through, you have to stay in communication. I echo that 1,000%.
Thank you for that, Rhoda. I had a situation where we had a congressional office reach out to us 3 years after the person stopped talking to the SBA, wondering if we could do something. And my comment was, unfortunately, now it's ready to be offset by the Treasury, and there's very little we could do to combat that. Had they stayed in touch, who knows? But right now, no, we can't help because now it's in a different lane, different category, different type of collection activity. So anybody that falls behind works with the case manager.
For any and all debt, really.
Absolutely,
People
that
want to
works
work
for the
with
wise.
you. I mean, sometimes, you get that it's scary and maybe your case manager is a little prickly, but stay in touch with them anyway. Any
Absolutely.
other comments or questions on any of what we've gone over, or questions that we haven't gone over or touched on?
Did we go through all of the slides, Rhoda?
There was one more. Let me share my screen again. I think there was the last one for coronavirus.
Yeah, and those are the programs which are coming out. We don't want to talk about the SVOG. We want to refer everyone to the website because it's not approved yet. Targeted EIDL advance is specifically by invitation only. So you can't apply for it. So if you hear folks saying, I want to apply for it, the SBA has a database of folks who got some money, not lots of money, or no monies whatsoever. So the email will specifically come from sba.gov, and that's by invitation only. And of course, the EIDL advance expired July 11th of last year. The express bridge loans we talked about briefly comes from the district office. Debt relief's in place, and that's again at sba.gov. And the PPP would come right out of the district offices and their presentations.
Great.
So once we have a firm talking points on the SVOG and some more on the target EIDL advance, Rhoda, I'll be back on with you to have that separate presentations, two separate presentations, fairly comprehensive in its scope, so we don't want to marry the two.
Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions before we close this training?
Yes.
Great.
Oh, Jim.
And hello, thank you for all you're doing. Hey, I had a client that was told by a small business client was told by his CPA that there was possible. CPA wasn't sure, but he thought there might be a conflict between collecting PUA unemployment insurance payments and going for the new PPP for people without employees alone at the same time. Do you know anything about that? Might be out of your area, I realize, but those are the two things I was asking with a possible conflict between a small business person collecting PUA and on the new PPP at the same time.
I would have you reach out to the district office there in Santa Ana, and they'll give you definitive guidance. Let Mr. Galati know, or Chris Lorenzana, or Alberto Quijada ask the question, and then see what they say. I want to stay in that lane specifically.
I need somebody that's hip to the groove on that. Do you have that phone number for us?
I don't. Let me pull it up real quick and look away from the camera.
Yeah, you can just look up Santa Ana. It's right here, 714-550-7420.
She is so bloody efficient.
Well, thank you kindly. What was that first name that you used?
The three different folks, if you click on the website there, Rhoda,
Mm-hmm.
there's the gentleman's, if you look at the office directory, open that up. Down on the left-hand side, it's in a PDF right there. There are the folks that you need to talk to.
Well, thank you. That was great.
You would reach out to, you can reach out to the district director who may delegate it. You can reach out to Gloria, reach out to Ron, Alex, Godfrey. All those guys are, in the economic development world. If you want management, you can get hold of Chris Lorenzana and or Alberta Quijada. He goes by AQ.
EQ?
AQ.
AQ. Thank you very kindly.
Alberto. Of course, sir. Tell them I said hello when you reach out to them.
Oh, baby, I will.
Rick, any
All
question?
right.
Michael, Marcy?
All right, Sushil, I will give you the last word, making sure that we covered everything. Any final points you want to really hit home? I always appreciate you hopping on to teach us and help people get funding to help their businesses to help stay afloat and put money on the table. So I'll give you the last word.
Rhoda, I've always appreciated your awareness, your advocacy, your collaboration in getting the word out. Again, I appreciate you this March 5th. Thanks for setting this up. We are the agency that is the lender of last resort, and our funds help many in the business community through COVID-19 funds, but also during disaster like the one we talked about in Texas and in Oklahoma, which currently has also a declaration. It's really through the low interest rate disaster loan program. So it helps families, it helps renters, it helps businesses and private nonprofits. Interest rates as low as 1.25%, maximum amortization 30 years, no fees, no points, no closing costs, no prepayment penalty, first payment a year from now. Apply online. Everything is virtual. COVID-19 is still a bane to our existence. So feel free to contact our SBA office, 1-800-659-2955. I appreciate the opportunity as always.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And we will talk in a couple weeks.
Indeed. Take care, guys. Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend and have a good Friday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you both so
Have a
much.
good weekend. Bye.
Appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.